Cause I realized I ain't need no team. I started off and pursued my dream. Fuck you, babe. I did it on my own, nigga. Ain't nobody claiming what I own, nigga.
What's up, Mikeria.jayyy, and I'm back in the building with another video, and I will be showing you how I make my wigs. How I make my wigs. This is not a tutorial, this is just showing you how I make my wigs. Now, if you want to learn from this and make your own wigs, then do that, but it's not a tutorial, I'm showing you. Okay, so what you'll need to make your wig is a wig stand or either a mannequin head. Then you'll need your bundles, your funnel. Also, you'll need your comb, your scissors, and then you need to make sure you have your thread and your needle threaded. Let's get started. So you're gonna take your frontal and prep it on the mannequin head. You need to adjust it to where the two flaps have earlobe flaps out, and that you'll have a lot of space for far as for your ear and your edges and sideburns. Okay, now that you have prepared yourself to do this, you're going to split your frontal in the middle part and braid down each side so that the hair won't be in your way when it's time to sew it down. Now that you have started, you have to understand that this does get frustrating at times, and it's not going to be the easiest thing to do in the world. And it does take a lot of practice. Okay, so now that you have both sides braided down, it's time for you to position your wig cap on your dome head or your mannequin head to make sure that it's lined up as if it was on somebody's real head or forehead. It's going to take time for you to line it up and make sure that it's all together and right. Once you have it together and right, I forgot to tell you guys, you need T-pins to keep and pin down hair, to pin down the cap, to keep a lot of things from moving. So I recommend you invest in yourself in T-pins. They're like $2 at the store. Okay, so as you can see, I'm sitting here playing around with it to make sure that the cap is positioned right. You do not want the cap to be too far down because that means your frontal won't line up right and then the wig won't look right. So therefore, you have to make sure you use guidelines also, and just make sure you pin T-pins on the side of the dome head so you have easy access to line it up, and make sure that your frontal is lined up. Like I said, two flaps and earlobe flaps. Gonna make sure it's gonna be lined up so it can be on the outside of the dome cap. Okay, so as you can see, I had to play around with it and I had to feel my way around. So what I do is I normally put a T-pin in the back of the middle of the frontal, and then I put them on the side. So it should be three. It should be one on the left side, the right side, and then the center, middle, and the very back of the frontal. You do not want to put it on the frontal actual lace because it'll mess up the frontal. So it takes a while for you to do this process because you want to make sure this is lined up right. It took me forever. I had to cut the camera off and try it all over again. So I'm going to come back when I got it back right and showing you basically how you sew the back down. Okay, so here I'm showing you the little flap of the ear flap that's going to be your sideburns that I was telling you about. Y'all, do not mind my hands. My hands is ashy. But, yeah, so you see that middle part. You're going to see it's like a black cat, and then it's the hairline. That's the little less than an inch space that you're supposed to leave for your forehead. Now that you're ready, you have to turn the cap and get ready to sew from the middle of the frontal from left to right and right to left. So you want to sew very, very tight. You can undersew, oversew. I undersew sometimes and sometimes I oversew. Just whatever you're comfortable with, long as it's very tight and long that it lasts. Okay, so if you can sew or know how to sew, it should be a very easy process for you. So basically, for anybody that doesn't know how to sew, this is the part where you need to listen. So you're gonna basically insert the needle under, and you're gonna slide it up and pull through. And then it's like a loop, as you see here. And you're gonna pull, and then you're gonna repeat this step and make sure it's tight, and then you're gonna do it again and do it again until eventually you get to the very, very end. You want to make sure it's very, very flat, and you don't have any gaps, any spaces, any loose ends, anything of that nature, because it will mess up your frontal wig. So from now on in this video, you're going to basically just see me sewing it down. You can fast forward to the next session, which will be when I'm finally done sewing it down all the way. Okay, so the next clip will be basically me already having it sewed down, and now it's time to install the bundles. So you should have already sewed down each side, each flap, making sure it's very tight. Now it's time to basically sew in the bundles. And you're going to sew in the bundles exactly how you sewed in the frontal. Same way, tight. But you will be sewing on the wig band. You do not want to sew super, super tight on the wig band because it will stop the stretch of the wig. So therefore, you should only be sewing through the fabric and not through the stretchy part. So here I had already sewed down the first track and it had already been sewed down. So basically when it's time for me to start my new row, you guys can see basically how I started the flip over method, which is the flattest. You have to make sure it's very, very flat so you don't have any lumps and bumps in your wig. I also use the T-pins, as you're going to see, for me to stick it through the two tracks because it's double and making sure that it's stuck on the other side so that I don't have to keep pushing it up and holding it and it'll hold itself in place. That's another reason why you need T-pins. So I'm basically going to pull it tight and I'm going to loop and pull tight and loop. Okay, so now as you have this method down pat, you will see like your hair will start to tangle with the thread. It's fine because as you finish each row, you're going to take a brush and you're going to brush it out. And you're going to make sure you get all the tangles out. And make sure it's all tangle free and everything else. So I'm going to fast forward and I'm going to be done with this. And the next scene that you see, I will be done completely sewing all the bundles in. You're going to make sure you start off straight from side to side, side to side. Eventually, when you get to the frontal, you shouldn't have no type of U part, no type of anything besides straight across, straight across, straight across. I double all my wefts, I doubled all my wefts. I made sure all my wefts was double and made sure they were tight. Once I got to the very, very top, I single weft. After I got half of my third bundle in, I single weft so I can make sure the very top was a flat install. You'll see what I'm talking about soon. Okay, here in the next clip, we're going to see what I'm talking about as far as brushing it out, making sure you get the tangles out, snags, and all of that. You make sure that that's all out so when it's time to install the wig, you'll have less work to do. Okay, next clip you see I am completely done sewing the second bundle and I'm on the third bundle. Now it's time for me to show you how you have to measure it out. So you're going to flip it from side to side to make sure you have enough. Then you're going to start to sew again. You should see it's a straight line. Still have yet to curve. You're going to make sure it's straight and tight and nice and neat. So now I'm going to cut back to the video camera and it's going to be completely done. Yeah, it's done. It's very full. It's seamless. You can barely see between the lace and the actual cap. So that is exactly how you want it to be. Now you can see that the hair is all together and we're going to start blending. Okay, now you've made it out and now I've brushed it all together and start blending. Now what I forgot to tell you, once you take out the mannequin cap, you're going to have a small cap piece between that cap. You're going to cut the cap and you're going to make sure you do not cut any thread or cut the lace. You're going to cut under the wig and it's going to be the cap. You're going to cut that excess cap off. Once you cut that cap off, it's going to be the true size of your wig head. Now, once you make sure that's cut off, you're going to make sure that you don't cut the lace at all, y'all. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for the install.